Okay, so let me actually do a brief review of this interesting book, which is called um, Live Forever Manual 101 Practical Tips on How to Live Forever by Adrian Cole. Now, I know this title may actually sound a little bit cheesy, but trust me, the book is actually much more interesting and much more grounded than this catchy title, maybe unscientific title, may sound like. So again, this is a really good book. The title may not do its service. So let's actually look into the table of contents. And once I actually finish reading the book, I'm actually probably gonna do a review on it. So this edition, first off, let me just start by saying, Adrian, thanks for giving me a copy of this book. Now, also, Adrian told me that he's going to publish an updated version of the book soon, so really looking forward to that. And I think you can follow Adrian by going to the Live Forever Club here, and there you're also gonna have a reference to their LinkedIn, to their Twitter account. So anyways, let's actually look into the table of contents. So what I like about this book first is that it actually takes a technological, so it starts with the technological and then goes into the biotechnological and then goes into the biochemistry aspects of longevity. So starts actually very philosophically with interesting questions such as, can we really live forever? Which is interesting because if you're someone who's actually very open-minded and you have knowledge across fields, you might actually know that this isn't too far out. So this isn't too far out, but anyways, I don't want to get into that in this video. Then talks about what is aging. So from purely a definition perspective, then about curing aging, life extension glossary. I don't know if this is really needed, but anyways, outrunning death. This has to do with what Ray Kurzweil mentions as longevity, escape, velocity, which is a really interesting concept, and it feels like, if you've been following Ray Kurzweil, it feels like he's been talking about this forever. So outrunning death. Then we actually look into stuff like, so actually goes into different sections. We have, for example, here you have accidents. So you have accidents and emergency. You also have lifestyle. There was food and drink. You also have campaigning. So lifestyle, mental health, quantified self. This gets interesting, and it also gets even more interesting when it comes to supplements here. Then you have survival, travel, treatments, further work. All right, so when it comes to accidents and emergencies, what you should do, campaigning. So this is actually contributing to the longevity research, and I think there are a lot of tech billionaires who are actually throwing a lot of funds into this research. Go figure. I think Jeff Bezos is actually contributing a lot of money to longevity campaigns. I also think that Peter Thiel And a lot of tech billionaires from Silicon Valley are actually throwing money at this type of research. Now, when it comes to food and drinks, alcohol, stuff like chocolate, and when it comes to chocolate, you have to think of components, healthy components such as theophylline. I think it's theophylline, theobromine, and also a lot of polyphenols. And come to think of it, chocolate is really interesting in terms of a nutrient. And we're not talking about chocolate specifically, the milk chocolate that you know, but we're talking about cacao beans, and also very dark chocolate with a low content, which is very high in cacao. So, for example, 75% cacao or higher. Then you talk about coffee and caffeine. These are actually drugs of choice. These are coffee, caffeine, chocolate. What else? A little bit of alcohol, but not too much. So dosed strategically. So yeah, it talks about that here. Drink temperate fermented vegetables. This is very interesting when it comes to the microbiome and a lot of the research that's going on in this field right now. Garlic. Talk about allicin. Milk. I haven't reached this far. Nuts. Pre and probiotics. Processed foods. I would also talk about fasting, so I'm not really sure. I haven't reached that far into the book to see if Adrian talks about this. Lifestyle. So you have a whole category here. Dangerous sports. I think Adrian talks at some point that he's not actually intending to, so in an effort to actually live as long as possible, he's been foregoing sports such as cycling because of the associated accidents. Exercise, talk about running, weightlifting, recreational drugs, sleep is really important, smoking. I wonder what that's all about. Now, very important in terms of longevity. So a lot of the people that have been studied, a lot of the longevity communities have a really deep connection when it comes to the mental health aspect of it, as they actually try to keep their minds not busy, not occupied, but healthy with a lot of activities, with a lot of interesting activities. And I think the magic ingredient here is curiosity and the pleasure of finding things out. As the late Richard Feynman, the physicist, actually said in one of his books, the pleasure of finding things out. So if you haven't read that book, I definitely recommend you read it. Speaking another language, that's really interesting. So polyglots, so talk about poly. So polyglots, people who speak a lot of languages, are interesting subjects when it comes to longevity. Now, quantified self. Now here we get more technical, talk about biological age, blood tests, DNA sequencing. It's not only huge right now, but it's only gonna get huger as we speak, and supplements. And we talks about phosphatidylcholine here. We'll probably get into these in a later video as I get more homework done when it comes to this interesting book. Treatments, cryotherapy, blood donation, flu, so vaccinations, not only so talking about vaccinations in terms of boosting your immune system, because components in vaccines, and this thought actually takes me to one of the papers that I saved from a couple of days ago, when it comes to a fungal injection, so you're being injected with a fungus to actually modulate the immune system, to actually increase, not necessarily increase, but actually modulate the activity of the immune system, to actually improve it, to actually make it more active. Maybe I'll actually go into specifics in a future video, and I'll talk about hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So you're actually being disturbed by car noise outside. So talk about hyperbaric oxygen therapy, where you're getting higher grade oxygen. Massage, metformin is a whole nother video in of itself, because it's an interesting compound. Radiation hormesis, this is really interesting. Rapamycin, well, it has a lot of downsides from what I know, especially when it comes to lowering so when it comes to immune suppression, you have senescent cells. Statins, with a lot of the controversy regarding statins, they have been discussed as potential longevity modulators by a lot of people in the field. Stem cells, and this and then you have cryonics, so work, commuting, lack of control, occupation, long working hours. Plan B, cryonics and mind uploading. Cryonics is, I don't think it's gonna have a future. It was nice in the 90s, but I don't think cryonics is actually gonna take lift off, because it's probably going to be replaced with the following here, which is mind uploading. So anyways, this is an interesting book which I recommend if only you were to have a speed up or fast forward pace through what you can do in terms of increasing not only the duration but also the quality of your life. So look for similar videos in the future.